Welcome back to The Rundown. Well, we're going to be talking about those big European Union elections in a minute. But one of the party that did take a hit in that vote this week was the British Labour Party. And that's only one of the reasons that they're in the headlines now. The party under Jeremy Corbyn has been consistently accused of systematic anti-Semitism. Several lawmakers have even ditched Labour because of this issue. Now the UK's Equality and Human Rights Commission has launched a formal probe, they say, to determine whether the Labour Party has unlawfully discriminated against, harassed, or victimized people because they are Jewish. Euan Philipps is the spokesman of Labour Against Antisemitism, joining us from our studios in London. Euan, thanks very much for being with us. And I understand this is at least in part a result of about 2 years of campaigning by your organization. So after 2 years of other investigations, of lots of scandal around alleged anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, do you think this is going to be different?
Well, we certainly hope so. The powers of the Equalities and Human Rights Commission are far-reaching, and we hope that they're going to really take a root and branch approach to looking at the Labour Party. They can exercise a huge range of powers, even more investigatory than the police. They can overrule non-disclosure agreements. So they can speak to former staff. They can investigate data files, emails, and I think that's all going to be absolutely necessary to get to grips with the scale of this situation. Well, at the root of the problem, you would say many people in the UK, especially in the Jewish community, is Jeremy Corbyn. Now, we've seen individual members of parliament actually split from the party, but overall he still has support. If this probe finds reason to question his leadership on the anti-Semitism issue, do you think that may get a broader base in Labour questioning him as its leader? Well, I mean, we've called for Jeremy Corbyn to resign over this issue for many months now, and he's showing no signs of moving. The problem is that while a lot of Labour MPs, a lot of Labour representatives in Parliament certainly feel that Jeremy Corbyn needs to be held to account over this, he still retains a huge amount of support amongst the Labour Party membership at the grassroots and also within the trade union movement as well. So it's going to really be a case of whether those people within the Labour movement accept the reality of the situation. Many have preferred not to look at the situation too closely. They obviously don't like to be told that the party they're part of is institutionally racist. But if they can sort of get to grips with the situation and start calling for Jeremy Corbyn to resign as well, then we could see some movement. But it's a very, very entrenched situation within the Labour Party. That's why we've had to appeal to the Equalities and Human Rights Commission to get involved.
Euan, it seems like there is always a new revelation, a new email, a new event, a new photograph of Jeremy Corbyn to sort of fuel these allegations of anti-Semitism, both of him and within the party. After those Labour lawmakers quit, saying they couldn't stand for that anti-Semitism anymore, do you think that had any impact at all?
Well, it continued to shine a light on the situation, and it really brought the issue back into public focus again. But really, it's been the work of organisations like Labour Against Antisemitism, who over 2 years have sort of painstakingly compiled evidence of the situation within the Labour Party. You know, it's not just Jeremy Corbyn, although obviously leadership is a problem. There's a real cultural issue within the party too, and that's really what's forced the issue here. We've been waiting for people within the Labour Party at the top level to take a lead, and they simply haven't. And we were hoping that maybe the departure of some of our MPs over this issue may have led to some others leaving in sympathy as well. That hasn't happened. So now really this is the sort of main opportunity that we're looking forward to. For there to be some real action on this, because to be quite honest, if we were waiting for action from the Labour Party, we would have been waiting an awful long time.
Euan, these are not ordinary times for British politics. In the chaos of Brexit, is there a chance you believe Jeremy Corbyn could become the next Prime Minister?
Absolutely, and it's a terrifying thought for many of us who are involved in sort of campaigning against racism in the Labour Party. That this guy who has been alleged by many people to be an anti-Semite himself, who's shared platforms with some really quite appalling people, who who called Hamas and Hezbollah his friends, the thought that he could be prime minister is really concerning, both to non-Jews and to members of the British Jewish community as well. But it's such a tempestuous time in British politics. There is very much the possibility that a new Conservative leader comes into position, decides to hold a general election, and out of that, a Labour Party led by Jeremy Corbyn is elected into government. It is concerning, and that's why we're glad that this action is taking place.
All right, Euan Philipps in London. Thanks very much for that. We'll follow that investigation closely that is just getting started there in the UK.